I got a secret. I love detectives. And let me tell you, when I say love, I mean True Detective, Call of Cthulhu 7, Hannibal, Blade Runner, Cure, Silence of the Lambs, Rust Cole, Inspector Legrasse, Clarice Starling. When I was younger, I had this strange obsession with them. I loved the outfits, the edginess. I loved the smoking and the rain. I loved the streets and the brickwork and the entire aesthetic of detective work. From the future, present, or past, I loved the idea of them being modern monster hunters who tracked terrifying devils who lived in human skins. I liked the idea that they were modern Helsings who used their sharp minds in place of arsenals of silver and other weapons. I still love all of that. Of course, I will say it's not just the idea of being a detective that I thought I was so interested in as a kid anymore. It's a little bit more of that now. It's a case of how do I put this? Have you seen Call of the Night? Have you seen Anko Gisu from Call of the Night? The point is that I love detective stories. And recently I found one that a lot of people seem to have forgotten, one that has fallen by the wayside, which is strange considering the fact it is a tale that in many ways has predicted the way our modern societies are beginning to turn out, the way culture is beginning to trend. And that story, my friends, is Psycho-Pass. And what I want to talk about today is how Psycho-Pass predicted the future and what that means for us going forward. I'm mainly going to be talking about Season 1 in this video. Psycho-Pass is one of those near-future kind of dystopias, where culture and the endless march of time has created a world just close enough for us to believe in, but alien enough for there to be a degree of revulsion. The premise of Psycho-Pass, and the premise of its world, is as such. Law across the world has broken down bit by bit, inch by inch. The edifice of human law, that thing which society uses as a foundation, was eroded. It was corrupted, warped, debased, used for arbitrary personal gains, economic gluttony, ideological vengeance, and more. Sound familiar, my friend? However, you can only push things so far before something else begins to push back. 'Tis a rule for all things, a universal rule, we shall say. Enter the civil system, an algorithm capable of theoretically measuring the contents of the human soul, a machine capable of seeing the colors of your mind and assigning new coefficients based off of them. All you need are enough cameras and other monitoring equipment to make it so that all of society is being watched by this all-seeing technological god, a god that mankind itself made. Crimes can be predicted before they happen. At this point, the law itself becomes secondary. You need no juries, no judges, no judiciary systems whatsoever. A machine does it all, quantifies their soul, and rests it upon the scale. In less than a second, it is decided whether or not a person should be put away forever or completely destroyed and executed. A technology so powerful that it dragged all of humanity with it, erasing what existed before. And those humans who created this new technology accepted it, loved it, became enraptured, mesmerized, and intoxicated by it. Its use spread and grew and evolved. Its systems for observation adapted and expanded. Soon enough, you didn't even have to worry about your own course in life. The system would decide that for you. It would decide the paths you could take in order to maximize both your happiness and productivity towards society. Crime coefficients and the hue of your soul define everything. In such a world, what do you suppose the role is of the detective? What is the role of those who are supposed to hunt monsters? The role itself has become that of a shepherd, inspectors who oversee enforcers who have high crime coefficient stats. The shepherds are there to watch their hounds hunt those whose numbers get too high, hunt them, catch them, or, if need be, destroy them. Of course, even the weapons used are those operated by the civil system. Dominators are weapons that can scan a person's mind completely. The trigger locks if the person is accepted by society and unlocks if they are a target, paralyzing the target or destroying them completely from the earth. I find it interesting that society still gives humans the duty of pulling the trigger, instead of, arming a trillion drones that just fly through the sky. What do you suppose that means? Do you think it is a sign that there is some last vestige of sanity amidst the society, or do you think it is a traditional and archaic practice kept in place for humans to try and maintain some kind of control over a society which no longer belongs to them, is no longer run by them, and no longer enforced by them? Society has become a cradle. Humans gave away the keys and ownership of even their own souls and minds to a machine. All for safety, all for security. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is where our story begins. Enter Akane Tsunemori. Many good detective stories need the wide-eyed new recruit. It's required. The person who just arrived on the force, the one who gets straight A's in the lab and classroom, but is yet to be properly tested. She serves as the audience's eyes and ears through much of the story. She's the one that believes in the systems of the world, in upholding them, in fighting for them. However, she's not so blind that she refuses to question them. While her partner, Inspector Ginoza, treats all humans as their coefficient number ranks them, Akane believes that even those with high numbers should be brought in, reformed, even if they have a plus 300 level. I mean, come on. Come on. People at that level, they probably aren't coming back. You should probably just blow them up. It's more humane that way. But it is also true that Ginoza urging Akane away from the enforcers is because he is terrified for her. For it is all too common for an inspector's hue to cloud as they work in the dark. Have it cloud enough, and the shepherd might just devolve into just another hound. Ginoza fears it because he has lost people just like that. Father, brother, friend. Best not to lose the new kid also, right? But I think what has become so fascinating is that the lead senior inspector isn't really a detective at all. He doesn't make judgment calls. He doesn't hunt the monsters that won't be found. He just makes sure that everything's done perfectly to the accordance of Sybil's will. He's become, in a way, a bureaucrat, an administrator of human flesh. And I think each of the enforcers demonstrates that. Yayoi and Shion are the cold hearts of the crew, they who analyze and support but never seem to get too close. They keep people at a distance, save for each other. Shusui amuses himself with the life he leads in whatever way he can, but I think the two that make me the most sad are without question Masaoka and Kogami. Masaoka is the traditional detective, the one who relies on clues, intuition, deduction. He's as old school as it gets, and because of that, the system itself buried him. There's no need for detectives like that anymore. People like that upset the peace of society. They destabilize it, and throw chaos into something that requires an endless order. And Kogami? All he cares about is hunting after his quarry. What little of the law is left is completely secondary, and the civil system too. Catch your quarry and kill it, mangle it beyond all possible recognition. No more, no less. What is interesting is that these cast-offs by society are still utilized by the system, which recognizes that sometimes there are still some things that require unconventional thought. Which leads us to one of the most important characters in Psycho-Pass, that of Professor Saiga. Professor Saiga is from one of the old institutions, that of university, education, psychology. He lives outside and away from the rest of the world, in a place which green growing things and birdsong populate, a place away from the hollows and neon and systems and electrical things that watch and prod and hurt and judge. We learn that people are terrified of him, that when people spoke to him in his lectures, their hues began to cloud, their coefficient numbers rose. And yet, he's brilliant and clever and thoughtful. So this leads us to question what precisely the system uses to measure the mind and soul. It is not the rule of law. One's coefficient can rise enough to warrant extermination without ever actually having committed a crime. So then what is it? Psychological stability? Fear? Terror? I believe the number can be determined by a few things, but I think at the forefront of that is criticality. The idea behind the function of universities is that they educate populaces on the inner workings and functions of the societies that they lie within. Different avenues of education are supposed to develop each of the many branches of society. Those within medical fields will learn about the practices and skills required of the trade, but also of the inner workings behind the trade, of its failings and wonders and the areas that need to be rooted or trimmed or encouraged. This is so with each branch of society. The point is that universities are supposed to promote societal change, to trim the parts of society that have turned stale and rotten. They are institutions that promote the overall health of a society. This is the function of education, to raise generations more educated than the last, who are then able to improve society, and so on and so forth. But this improvement can come in many forms. This change to encouragement and stimulation, or trimming and rooting. Sybil is the heart, mind, and soul of this new society. It is the complete and total foundation, spine, bedrock, and marrow. If Sybil is removed or altered too heavily, all of society would alter completely. Professor Saiga's coefficient number rose and polluted others because of the psychological education and critical and analytical type of thought that he taught people, who then became critical of the society they lived within. This makes them enemies of the Sybil system, which has become society. Sybil thusly judges them as dangerous, since it is not law that Sybil uses to judge, but what will allow the current system to continue to exist and slowly improve. Veins of thought that promote alternative forms of society or human opinions are not so good. Just eat the pills, my friend. Stay happy. Consume, my brother, consume. Don't make choices. Become a blissful cog in the engine that the system dictates. In this world, human consciousness is no longer required. It is no longer wanted, nor desired. 'Tis better to be endlessly white than clouded by the colors of your humanity, no? Which leads us to the villain of Psycho-Pass. The best detective stories always have the best villains, you see. A modern monster hunter requires a modern monster of fitting proportions. John Doe, Hannibal Lecter, Mamiya. Detectives serve society for good and evil. A detective's purpose is to protect the people and the society they live within. This also means playing by a given society's ideals. But because all societies are inevitably flawed, this means that they will always crush some people. As the wheel of humanity turns, someone is going to be at the bottom. As society creates boundaries and taboos, there will be people who are born, who exist outside of them, whether just or unjust. But what is inevitable is that the ostracized feelings will coagulate. The anguish and pain and the being of one who is outside will inevitably concentrate. And from that concentration, sometimes a monster might be born. Makishima is just that nightmare. Picture this for a moment. You hold in your hand the judgment of society, the power of God, the law, the foundation of culture within your hand. Your best friend is held by a man thin of face and pale of hair. He pulls a straight razor from his coat and begins to cut away at her in front of you. You pull the weapon, but his hue is perfectly white. His coefficient number lowering as you watch until it reaches absolute zero. The man tosses you an archaic firearm and asks you to shoot him with it. Make your own choice. Decide something for once in your life. Make a choice that wasn't decided for you by a machine, by the thing that humans treat like a god, but is anything but. Inspector Akane Tsunemori cannot pull the trigger, because to pull the trigger would be to acknowledge that society is flawed all the way down to the source of its marrow. It would be to acknowledge that the eyes of Sybil are flawed, which would mean its judgment is too. That every moment of her life, when she gave away choice and will, the system she was giving away to was not some perfect thing, but to something less than absolute. Inspector Akane Tsunemori allows her friend to die. Makishima rips out her throat with a straight razor. You see, Makishima cannot be measured by the Sybil system because the system does not understand him. He is one of the criminally asymptomatic. Those who Sybil does not understand, those who Sybil must intake into the system in order to deepen their understanding. Shogo Makishima existed as something that society could not see. High or low, his number didn't matter because he could control it. Society became an intangible thing to him. He couldn't feel its warmth or connection or safety. He wanted to see humans make their own decisions in a world which stole that ability from them. The problem, of course, is that a society as blissfully numb and unthinking as the one in Psycho-Pass, getting people to really genuinely make their own decisions requires pain, stress, stimulation, enough pressure to force them to change. So he went to the worst of society, those in the dark, and he said, I give you the tools to make whatever choices you want. I give you freedom. I give you resources. Do what you will shall be the whole of your law. And of course they did. And of course they reacted violently and insanely. They murdered in the most monstrous ways possible, and Makishima watched because all he wants is to know, to understand human will and the choices they make. Eventually, of course, Makishima is captured. An emissary of the Sibyl system comes to him and asks him, would you like to be one of us? We need intake people such as you in order to evolve. Become with us, become the direction, method, and system itself, become the bedrock, spine, and marrow of civilization. Would you like to become a god? I wonder what most people would decide in such a scenario. I wonder what I would decide. The idea of being able to see with 1,000 times more clarity than the mind I currently possess is frighteningly alluring. Can you picture that? Throwing off the parts of yourself that are weaker. Humanity has one leg in the kingdom of beasts and the other in the realm of what comes next. If given the option to put both legs forward, what choice would I make? What choice would you make? Genuinely, what choice? This is not being facetious or sarcastic. I'm interested. Makishima as a human being laughs because even now the system did not understand him. He kills the system's emissary. The fear on its immortal face is really something as it dies. Makishima's only interest after that is to destabilize society to the point where the Sibyl system can no longer be used as a foundation, to return humans free will, for better or worse. There is a showdown at the end between Akane, who seeks to uphold the system because she believes it is all they have, because if they have it, they can improve it, because it would be dangerous to rip it apart. People would die, people would get hurt, people would be crushed as society fell apart. If they still have a society, they still have safety, they can still improve it. It is a showdown between Akane and Togami. Togami, who seeks only personal satisfaction, to be a hound who finally catches his quarry and mangles it beyond all possible recognition. It is a showdown between them and Makishima, who wishes to destroy society in order to allow humans to make their own choices again, to return them free will. If you haven't watched the first season of Psycho-Pass and have gotten this far, firstly, I'd like to say thank you for watching, but also, god damn it, I would also think that there would be a degree of interest to see how it all plays out. Who do you think comes out on top? Who do you think should have come out on top? But the point is that although Psycho-Pass is exaggerated and, of course, not a one-for-one recreation of reality, it did unintentionally or otherwise predict the trend of humanity towards giving away will, thought, and consciousness. Each morning that Akane gets up, she talks to her personal artificial companion that chatters happily about her entire day and everything she might need, and Akane accepts it, loves it, and cherishes it, and defends it with her life. How many people do you see doing similar things? Going inward, chatting with machines, asking machines for advice, asking them the routes they should take in life, offloading personal responsibility and human will. How many people do you see who have lost faith and care about nothing more than personal satisfaction, about seizing their quarry and desire in their slavish mouths to messily devour? How many people do you see who are screaming at you to get up, to make a choice, take responsibility, even if by doing it that you destroy yourself and everyone around you, that you cause nothing but pain? What do you suppose is the answer here? What do you suppose is the right choice? I don't particularly like the overall culture of society at the moment. I like individual people, but not the culture of large groups. I don't like irony poisoning. I don't like the way things have been reduced to content or just abstract things to be consumed. I don't like how people give away will and conscious thought and hand it away to others, to machines, to politics, to anything else besides. But that's not to say you should cut yourself off from the world. The point is free will, conscious choice, understanding, but it's also true that no matter how much I hate the way things are going, there are still things I love. Maybe I don't have faith in people. Maybe that's why I like detectives so much, because they are tired and jaded, and they see the worst in people. Maybe that's why I like them so much. But that's also why I love Akane Tsunemori's characterization, because she represents almost everything I disagree with. And yet I want to agree with her. I want to see and understand the worst of society, but still have faith in it. I want to have faith in people. I want to have a clear hue. I wonder if I would in that world. Would I have a clear hue? What would the system see in the electrical meat pathways within my skull? I don't know. Probably nothing good. What do you think you'd have? Okay, let me know in the comments down below. What's your hue ranking? Give me your coefficient number. The reason why I think Psycho-Pass predicted the culture of the future is because I think the time is here where more and more technologies and aspects of culture seek to monopolize human attention, human minds, human consciousness, human choice, and will. So I think it's more important than ever that you guard yourself. Do not close yourself off from the future, from the terrors and wonders of the world. Don't do that. But don't let just anyone walk inside your mind and soul and sprinkle it with poison and numbing light. Don't lose the you that is you, no matter how many times they try to take it from you. I know it's hard to stay afloat, but please try not to drown. There's a lot. I understand that everything can seem hopeless and I don't have all the answers, but endure, swim, keep the you that is you, and don't give your mind and soul away to something which will trample on it. And so, that is that. Hope you all are doing okay. Do the likey, do the thing, you know the thing. Take care. I'll see you when I see you, people.